Pieter and Nortje of the farm Citrusrand in the Sundays River Valley. Our family has been here since the 1880s from Oudtshoorn, and because of a lack of water, this valley was never a big citrus area. I remember the stories of my father, how the trees died every 4 years, and they watered it with out of boreholes and tried to stay afloat, and with a few animals. And we were very poor people. I grew up very, very poor. My grandfather lived in a mud house, and I think it's important what I say is that any kind of success, whether it's in agriculture, it's just, I think, more prolonged because it's not as lucrative. But any kind of success doesn't come overnight. It takes sometimes generations of very hard work, and the narrative of in South Africa of a quick fix, everyone can become rich overnight, is not a real economic fact. It's nothing like that ever exists, especially when you are truthful people. It takes a while. Mm-hmm. So that's the background. I studied accounting, and but my heart's always been on the farm. I never took a school tour. I never went anywhere. I always worked holidays and weekends and nights on the farm. So I really love what I do. And something I want to put across today is that in the previous century, whatever your skill set was, you set out to do, and if you do it well enough, you'll become successful. And you have to concentrate 120% on what you are doing. And one of the unintended consequences, I think, of the new South Africa was that there's a gradual collapse of government structures, things that's been taken care of before by the government. And we must remember that we pay the government, we give them the means to do things. And so you take a community that is taken care of in a lot of ways, water, sanitation, roads, schools, all the things that make a community or a country work. And suddenly there is shortages in that government sphere. And on the other side, you as a farmer or a businessman or any kind of business, you set out to do, I want to farm citrus. Mm. And the people that work in it, and the school and the road and where people live, that has nothing to do with me. But what I've realized from a great Professor Schlebusch, he was very involved in the change of the government and with Cadesa, etc. And I had a chat with him. I had the honor one day to talk to him, and he called it DIY politics. If you want to survive in South Africa, you're going to have to learn to do DIY politics. So what I've realized is that you go from a plain old farmer to someone that looks after people, that build your own roads, that has to look after the municipality, that you've got to know where your people live, you've got to supply them those things at your cost, of course. It's not for free. Yeah. Because many people, like our employees, don't always understand that I pay a tax to this municipality. Mm. We keep them alive, not someone else. It's not money that falls from government's hands. We pay that tax, and we get absolutely nothing for it. And the people that live in the towns don't get anything for it anymore. And that's where normally the trend I see in South Africa is where the issues start and the unhappiness start, because as soon as your basic needs is not fulfilled, then everything else becomes a problem as well. And I remember clearly in our case here in Kirkwood and Addo 4 or 5 years ago, with the terrible looting of the San River municipality, how the people were very unhappy, because you can't go to work if you don't have water or food or all those basic needs, and let alone other stuff like schools and a good environment and a clean environment. And that started, and we as farmers decided we will set in, people like me, as I said, I realized that my job is not to plant a citrus tree and let it grow and pack the fruit and export it anymore. I have to look after a bigger picture. And the question is, it's not my skill. How do I do it?
Yes.
And one way of trying to convince more people in the valley was, let's take over some of the work that the municipality has to do. And we thought we're doing a very good thing. And to me, it's just important that the one thing I feel we got to realize is that whether it's a guy who picks fruit on my farm or does the smallest kind of job, we must remember that we all share in the same box of fruit. There's no other money. It's the fruit that goes into that carton gets sold for 50 Rand, and out of that 50 Rand we pay the carton, we pay the labor, we pay the machines, we pay the fuel, we pay the tax to the municipality, we pay the tax to the government, and somewhere there's 50 cents left for me. But that's not the issue, is we share in that same.
It's the same economy. Everyone is in the same economy.
It's exactly,
and that's why the idea of you being my enemy is a politically defined situation, position which doesn't resonate with the reality, because whether you like it or not, you are in the same system, and it is in your interest to be aware of the other one's interest and the other way around, because your interests are the same.
Exactly.
They're entangled with one another. There's no getting away from them.
100%. That box of fruit belongs to us both.
I
must pay everything. If you take a carton of fruit off, 72 fruits in there, and you start paying everyone, then you'll see that there's no other money. There's nothing else that falls out of the air. It comes out of that 72 fruit. And that's going to pay for everyone, even Eskom.
And Pieter, but even more, the idea of farmers taking some measure of responsibility for things that the municipality is assumed to be responsible for. I think that the way in which we are moving towards that taking co-responsibility, even under normal conditions, would be a good model, because we are actually codependent on one another.
Absolutely.
We should take co-responsibility, and we should not live in a country where we have an overly powerful government or a government that assumes that it is overly powerful and has an impact on each and every aspect of your life. We don't really want that. We would rather want to have a government that is responsible for specific things, and us also take responsible for certain things.
Absolutely.
And we get out of the situation of saying we do business and business is the only thing that we do. I really appreciate the point that you're making. The farmers cannot say that I'm a farmer and that's all I am. You can't be that anymore. That doesn't make sense in South Africa. So let's
if you want to incorporate this as well, is that a very important point I want to make. Two things. The one is, when you are confronted with the media every day, the media seems to be portraying the current state of affairs, whether that's in your town, whether that's in South Africa or in the world. And what I've learned is that is totally not the truth. The media is very irresponsible, I feel, because if I am a foreigner and I come and sit in South Africa and I take in all the media news for a week, I would run.
Yeah.
I would run very far, get out of South Africa. But, and I've said this many times, the country that I live in, here in my little pack house here, on my farm, and the people I see, and when I go to town, I don't see that country. I see another country, I experience it much more positive.
Well, can I add to that? I mean, what we are also saying in the work that we're doing is that we actually doubt the taken for granted view that the world is characterized by conflict.
Yes.
That we can divide everything in the world in terms of oppositional, worker, employer, employee, races, man, female, ages. This is the kind of artificial impression of inevitable conflict that is being created by our politicians and by our media. We are being conditioned and we're being bullshitted into a mindset that says that we are inevitably in conflict with one another. Now, conflict is real, but it doesn't mean that it's the only thing. There's a lot of other things that happen. You can't reduce the relationship between a wife and a husband to merely two people in opposition to one another. If you describe me and my wife's relationship like that, I'll tell you, you're talking a load of nonsense. But some people want to say that is how that relationship should be characterized. And the same thing with the relationships that we're talking about. They're much richer, the relationships. They're much more nuanced. Many grey areas between those two, you know.
Very good. And the other point I would like to stress outside of the box is that for whoever is watching this video, is that I have accepted, and I feel it's everyone's responsibility to accept in this country, that you always have a natural curve of people. If there's always a 1 to a 10% that doesn't want to agree or doesn't want to work together. We must accept that there's always those few guys that's outside the circle. It will be great, but I don't think it's humanly possible to include 100%. And that is your problem, people. Whether that is a business owners, whether that's a farmer, whether that's employees, whether that's people that working in the municipality or whoever in your circle of life. But you've got to understand there's always certain individuals that doesn't see the bigger picture. And we must accept that. If we always going to wait for the last 1%, we're going to wait forever. And I want to say clearly, you know, in my position in the South African cities industry, I always talk about the greater good. And if you do good, you cannot do harm. That's just a fact. And if you look after everyone, you cannot antagonize anyone because he's not inside the circle. So I would like to convey the message, even to my employees and to any person working in this Sunday River Valley, is that there will always be 1 or 2 guys outside the circle.
Yes.
And I accept that there will always be some people on that side, also outside the circle. But when we're in the circle, that is the greater good. That is the 95 or the 99% that make life happen.
And in that regard, I think we should be hugely blessed that we have, in the work that we're doing, that we have that bigger group of people that's indicated that they want us. So let's run into the questions.
Lovely. Well, that was a great introduction.
Thank you.
No, it was really great. Thank you. Can you please talk about what was happening in the Valley in the period of the last 3 years up to December 2018? And what were your fears? What could happen to you, your family, your farm, the economy in the Valley?
To talk about the past is something that I have buried, so wish to forget it and leave it where it is, but learn from it. I think myself and all my employees, all my managers, I mean, we had a long sit down and we tried to learn from it. But what I can tell you in short, I think the facts is well rehearsed. What I can tell you is that by July 2018, I was ready to sell everything. And I actually went overseas for a weekend and I was ready to leave the country, and whatever happens here, happens here. So that's where I am. Something that's built over 120 years, and we as a family were ready to leave. There was no reason to invest your heart and money is something else, but your heart and what you love to do into something that's going to be burned down or destroyed for whatever reason. So we were ready to close the doors at the end of last year. That's where we were. It's a fact. We definitely cancelled all projects to expand our business. We cancelled all dreams. We cancelled all projects, all capital investment, everything. That was all cancelled. That's where we were.
Wow, that makes quite a statement. Okay, let's go on to
wow. Shame. Well, thank goodness there's been a bit of change since then. Can you please talk about what's happened since then with reference to the work that's been done by Professor Pretorius and the task team that he's put together?
Right. The one question I kept on asking towards the end of 2018 was, what is going to be different in 2019? I mean, we don't have a long break between seasons, and we are actually spending money again to produce a new crop of fruit. The fruit doesn't just arrive on the trees, we put money into it. I always ask the question to community leaders, what's going to be different? How is it going to be different? And are we again going to come to a point and have the same tensions, and then in the end, what are we going to do? We're going to talk to each other. We have to. That's all. So I said, why don't we start talking now? We might as well start talking now, and if we know that it's impossible to solve whatever the problem is, then we know it. Then we might as well stop now, and then I go on my road overseas and just leave, which I was really ready to do. And through absolute grace of God, I mean, we managed to get the services of and the knowledge and the personality of Professor Pretorius. As I said, my skill set is to grow citrus. It's not my skill set to build a community. I wish I could. I absolutely admire it. I can build my little community, but there's a bigger picture. And so I sort of heard positive things, and we pay for it. We contribute towards it, and I honestly believe it's the only way to survive. It's such a strong community. We can be such a success story. To me, take the road down into the Karoo, which is a Karoo town. Go and look at Janssenville. Go and look at drive up here, Aberdeen, Patterson, just on the other side of the valley. It's totally empty ghost towns. There's nothing left. Nothing left. The poverty, the hopelessness, all the infrastructure that was there is broken down. We still have a chance. And it's going to depend on me, my neighbor, my employees, my worker, everyone that is around me to make a plan. And we've got to talk. That's all. That's how the New South Africa was built, was around the table, Cadesa. And we got to have our mini Cadesa in the South Africa. And we got to build either for the future or a step back and we go out. That's it.
No, I think it's very positive, and I think more and more towns and places will actually start to follow the same work that's being done here. What do you think about the fact that community labour leaders are putting their weight behind this initiative? Does it give you more confidence in the community labour leaders, and does it give you more confidence in the future of the Valley?
Absolutely. I said when we had the first talks with Professor Pretorius is that if you don't get the buy-in and we don't hear what they've got to say, there's no way we can start. They are the antagonistic figures at that stage. So let's hear what the issues are and try and solve it. And from what I hear back and the reports back, and honestly, from what I see of people around me, there's a smile, which I didn't get before. And I smile a lot more. I feel a better person. I look forward to the future again. I've got a different mindset. And it's not about business at all. We're actually having a very difficult citrus season. It's actually going to be one of the worst in the past 8 years, but it's the one I've enjoyed the most. Money is not important. It's just important to be able to live in peace and harmony. That's important.
Worry and anxiety.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And what do you think about the idea of a development agency for the Valley?
Yes, I alluded to it earlier in terms of DIY politics, and what we're basically doing is getting someone that is impartial, that understands people, and we try and fill the voids that government has left, and even be better than that. Government cannot make your life better. Even if you want to believe it, you've got to make your own life better. And a development agency like this is, I believe, the only way we can have a total inclusive road of hope and growth. We have the means to do it, and we would be foolish not to absolutely embrace it.
Yeah, definitely. And specifically, what do you think about the idea of bringing people from all sections of the Valley to share their perspectives and work together to solve problems and utilize different opportunities?
Absolutely. It's always amazing that whatever conflict do exist is always solved through communication. All conflict is a misunderstanding. That's all it is. And you can do a lot of actions. You can light a fire, you can do this, you can have a standoff, you can have police, you can have a lot of antagonism. But in the end, it's someone that felt aggrieved on either side of the table, and the other party doesn't understand it. That's all that it is. And eventually, how are all these things solved is around the table. Okay, I didn't know that is a problem to you. I must understand. Tell it to me. You're not telling it to me by not coming to work. All I feel is more antagonism. It makes it worse. So now I don't even want to listen to you. But now if you just tell me beforehand, listen, this is starting to worry me. I don't want to ride on the back of a tractor to work. Okay, I can understand that. That's why. Now let's solve it. That's the way it is. So if community leaders, labor leaders, people with influence on any side of the spectrum, if we can just continuously talk, we can actually make it better than it should be. We don't have to have the minimum. We can do better. And we must understand that we must learn to listen to each other. And to me, that is the only way we're going to solve it.
No, definitely. And Do you have more, I mean, you've kind of answered it already, but obviously the situation and the way you felt July last year, do you feel that there's hope and a better future for the Valley than a year ago?
Yeah, as I said before, I went from someone that was ready to leave. We all made plans to leave, and that's a fact. Towards where we now starting to enjoy the fruits of our labor, where we enjoy seeing the people again, and I enjoy working with the people. There's a mutual respect, and we are working at ourselves, and I think the people, my employees, are working at themselves. We've got a common goal. We've got to share in that box of food, and we feel much more positive. Obviously, there's macro politics around the country that's making it difficult, but what I experience is enjoyable every day, and I feel much more positive towards my people that work for me, much more. I started a empowerment project 7 years ago called Simonier, where my longest serving employees got a share in the farm, and I actually in the past 2-3 months decided to expand that into a Simonier 2 project, where I take on more people to share in that, because I feel positive again. And yeah, so there'll be about 60 more people that will have a share in the farm, and that's just my way of saying, you know, thank you for what you've done. And I believe it's just imperative that we maintain the momentum, that we pick the low-hanging fruit, in other words, get small milestones, but it's always the biggest one is the first milestone. And to have been able, by Pretoria, to get around the table, and to acknowledge that we have a problem and how we're going to solve it, that's the first and the biggest milestone. And I can assure everyone that the people that I deal with, that 90% on the business people side, definitely want to see this value and all these people succeeding. And I see this immensely positive, and that's why we contribute money towards it as well, over and above that we have to.
It's amazing, yeah.
Thank you, Pieter.
Yeah,
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, you're
Fantastic. Bye now.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Are you going to interview some of my people as well or not?
Not in this round. What is important is that we are actually, this is not a once-off.
Yeah.
This is an ongoing thing, and so a lot of what we do are actually interviewing people on a community.
Yes.
level.
Okay.
So we may capture people in that kind of angle, but in the future, maybe this is something to do next time around, you know, to start, come onto your farm and start speaking to your farm workers.
This would be
That'll
really
be fantastic.
If we could get access, like you were saying,
No, you're
a
welcome.
creche.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about that as well.
It's on site, is it?
Yeah, it's 100 meters from the gate.
So people can turn up to work, drop their kids off,
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
We haven't got the time now,
Definitely come back.
but we'll come back.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome.
That'd be
If
amazing.
you want to go to the pack house and talk to people, you're more than welcome.
Okay, we're gonna do that.
So
Yeah.
much,
We are a little bit behind schedule, so
Yeah.
thank you, Pieter, but
Whatever
we'll come
suits
back.
you.
Peter, thank you
I'll
very much.
definitely bring
Yeah,
you
we'll
back.
definitely,
Yeah.
yeah,
No.
definitely be back.
No, you're
But
most
thank you
welcome.
for that. That
We are
was
even,
really,
the plan is even to actually we may even train people on your staff to become of what they call vloggers.
Yes.
Give them a camera, give them a
They love it.
yeah.
yeah.
So that they can, you know, so what we want to really do is this is part of giving hope, not to just
Yeah.
us here
Yeah,
locally, it's
yeah.
to get the message out.
Absolutely.
Because South Africa needs the good story to be heard.
We've got 2 people every year, well, everywhere there's another one, but there's always someone here that makes a business out of just taking photos of the other people.
Wow,
Yes.
okay.
It was more so before the cell phones, because
Yes.
now everyone can take a photo. But a few years ago, there was a guy here who made a killing.
Really?
He was just taking photos at every break and printing them out, and but that was before the onset of the.
Now you see, now we can, with these
Now,
these bright people, we can take those and we can turn them into
Yeah.
videos and we can put it on YouTube and
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah,
and we start talking to the world.
yeah.
So I think this methodology that we're using here is a critic unified communication.
Yeah,
This is what we're doing.
Yes.
We're getting the message out.
that's what.
Nee, dit gaan viral.
Baie dankie
That's
Pieter.
active in your